everybody, and welcome to my November TBR. November is, in fact, my birth month, and there's also some other things going on in my life that are a bit stressful this month. So I want to make this TBR as fun as possible. I also want full control of my TBR. Well, almost full control. So that being said, I am going to be using an online TBR generator. I'm just going to be choosing 10 prompts for this month, and I'm just going to choose books that correlate with these prompts. I will have pretty much full control of the books I get to choose. Obviously, it has to do with the prompt I am given, but I'm just using this online generator I found. The last couple of times I've done my TBR videos, I've used a certain TBR prompt generator, but I wanted to switch it up this time. So we're going to use the TBR machine. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Before we get into my November TBR, I do want to briefly discuss the books that I read in October. So I ended up reading 5 books in October, but one of them was over 1,000 pages long, so I do feel very good about this. The first book I read was Coraline by Neil Gaiman, and I did not like this book. I'm so sorry. I gave this one 2 stars. I just say if you're interested in the book, just skip it, just watch the movie instead. The movie is infinitely better. Moving on. The next book I read in October was Rewitched. This was the most perfect October read. It is set in October. It's about this woman who is a witch, and she has kind of neglected her powers over the years, and she could possibly get them taken away from her on her birthday, and she does not want that, so she's kind of just doing what she has to do to keep her magic and find herself. And it is a very beautiful, touching story, and it has a side plot of romance that is so cute. I loved it. I gave this 5 stars. Then I read A Sky Beyond the Storm by Saba Tahir. This was the final book in An Ember in the Ashes, and this one was 5 stars. It was just the perfect conclusion. I really recommend this series. It is YA, but I do think it's like, I heard someone say it's like upper YA, and I agree with that. Like, maybe read this when you're like 15 or so. Like, don't let your like 12-year-olds read this, you know. Then I read The Sirens. This is by Amelia Hart. This one's about a girl who something happens at college and she has to kind of run away for a little bit. So she goes to her sister's house in, she lives in Australia, and her sister lives on a beach somewhere in Australia. And she shows up and her sister is missing, and she's also having these dreams about these 2 sisters from the 1800s who were being taken to Australia from Ireland, and you're getting like both perspectives. It was really interesting. Obviously, it is a bit of fantasy, and it was mostly just like a women's fiction slash suspense slash fantasy. It was very fun. I really liked it. Not fun. It was pretty sad and dark, but it was really good. So yeah, I gave this 4 stars. And then the final book I read in October was, dare I say, the best book I've ever read in my life, and that was Alchemized. I gave that one 5 stars, obviously, and I'm not going to say much about it because there is going to be a vlog coming out specifically for that book, but just know I literally can't stop thinking about it. It was so incredibly good. One thing I will say about it is that it is kind of marketed just as a romance, and it obviously has a huge plot of romance, but it is mainly a intense, brutal, horrifying war story. So I would go into that knowing that first and foremost, this is a war story, and then second, it is a love story. So those were all the books I read in October. I'm gonna send you back to past Eve so we can talk about my November TBR. Without further ado, let's pick my first book that I hope to read in the month of November. So it says, read a book recommended by a friend. Let me take a look at the books that I own and see which books have been recommended by friends. I'm gonna get right back to you. So the first book I have on my November TBR was recommended to me by my friend Faith. I mean, I don't know if she personally recommended it to me, but I know she recommends it, and she's my friend. So we're going to be choosing Daughter of the Pirate King. This is by Trisha Levenseller. This, I heard, is like a female Jack Sparrow. I tried to read a pirate book a couple months ago, and it was an adult book, and I really hated it so much. I gave it like 1 star. So I think a YA pirate book should be good for me. I think I can handle this. I have just heard such amazing things about it, and literally all I know is that it's a female Jack Sparrow, and that's all I need to know. So first book on the November TBR is going to be Daughter of the Pirate King. This is looking good already. I'm excited. Okay, next prompt is going to be read a book by an author who is now deceased. So a classic. I'm just gonna skip over this one. We're gonna pretend that doesn't exist. Oh, I clicked it again and it says read a book recommended by a friend, but we already got that. So we're gonna try this again. Reread a book you've read before. Thank you, Lord. This is so great. Let me go look at the books I've read before. I've been looking for an excuse to read this book for so long now. This book is one of the series that got me back into reading. I mean, I never fell out of reading, but this is what got me heavily into reading again. This and Dune. But that is going to be Chaos Walking, The Knife of Never Letting Go. This is by Patrick Ness. This is such a fun and just so well written, very cool story. It's, I believe, like sci-fi and fantasy, and it is a YA. It's about this world where only men are on this world and they can constantly hear each other's thoughts. One day a woman shows up and they can't read her thoughts and kind of all hell breaks loose. I loved this book so much when I read it. It also has pages that look like this. It's just such a good series. If you haven't read this series, I would 100% recommend. Again, I read this series years and years ago, so it's going to be interesting to see how I feel about it today or this month, but I think I'm still gonna rate it like 5 stars. I'm so excited that I finally have an excuse to read it again. All right, we have 2 books in series now. It'd be nice to get a standalone, but we'll see what we get. So the next prompt is going to be read a classic. Guys, I'm sorry, but I'm not reading a classic this month. Quit making me read a classic. Read a memoir or autobiography of someone you admire. I don't think I have one of those, so we're gonna skip that as well. Read a book released in 2019. That's very interesting. I'm gonna go look at my books and see if I have any books released in 2019. Let me go check that out. I actually found this book very, very easily. I don't know how. It was the 3rd book that I picked out and looked at the date. And actually the 2nd book I looked at also was released in 2019, which I think is kind of crazy. But the book we are going with is going to be We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faizal. Let me just double check that this is a 2019 publication. Yes. Published in 2019. So this book I've had for a few years at this point, I think 3 years, and I don't know why I haven't read it yet, because this is something I know I will love. It is set in the desert, which is automatically, I love that. For some reason, I love a desert setting. It is fantasy, and I think it is enemies to lovers. So this is very exciting. We're finally going to read We Hunt the Flame. This is a duology, so I only have to read 2 books to finish the duology. I'm so excited I'm finally gonna be reading this. I literally cannot wait to start all these November reads. All right, book number 4. Let's choose our 4th prompt. Read the book that has been on your TBR the longest. Okay, I'm actually gonna do some research. Let's open up Goodreads and go to my books. We'll go to want to read and just do reverse order. So Return of the King, Lord of the Rings. We're gonna be finishing a series in November, which I wasn't expecting, but I'm actually very, very excited for this one. So let me go grab that book real quick. So the 4th book on our TBR is going to be The Return of the King. I love the covers I have of this series. They're just so beautiful. So this is just the 3rd part of The Lord of the Rings, and that's that. I don't know if I'll finish this book in November, but I'm definitely going to start it. I think I have the audiobook already, because this is just definitely going to be an audiobook read because yikes. But I really like this series, so I'm excited to finish it up. That's so exciting. Okay, 4th book chosen. Now our 5th prompt is read a book written for children. I literally have it right here. Okay, hang on. I've been waiting for an excuse to read this. So we have The Wide Window. This is the 3rd book in a series of unfortunate events. I read the first 2 of these and just absolutely loved it. And I don't know, it doesn't, like, even though I know it's written for children, I'm still having the best time ever reading this series. So I'm excited to read the 3rd book. Prompt number 6 is going to be read a book set in a school or a university. I already have the book chosen. I don't own it, but we are going to be choosing Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. The fourth book in like the Mina Lima versions came out. I don't think it's actually called Mina Lima anymore, but the fourth book came out in October. So I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to read it in November. That is super exciting. I have to remember that that's going to be on my TBR. But yeah, the sixth book is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I'm literally so excited for this TBR. Okay, seventh book is going to be read a book that has won an award. I'm gonna be honest, it's gonna take me too much time to look through all my books and figure out which one has won an award. So we're just gonna pretend like that prompt didn't exist and just move on. Read a book with the word magic in the title. Let me see if I have any of those, because I really don't know. I'm actually kind of shocked because I don't have a single book that has the word magic in the title unless I'm missing one, but I don't have one. So let's try again. This is book number 7 once again. Read a book written by an author from a different country than you. That is fun. Let's go take a look at my books yet again. Okay, I actually found this one very easily. We're going to be going with Attack on Titan, volumes number 16, 17, and 18. The author's name is Hajime Isayama. Hopefully I pronounced that right. They are from Japan, so this works perfectly. I've been meaning to move on with this series. I've been reading it for so long and I love every moment of it, so I don't know why I push it off all the time, but it's just so much fun. This is a manga series about these scary giant creatures called Titans, and that is book number 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, book number 7, Attack on Titans. Prompt number 8. Oh, hello? TBR machine? Okay, well, that was weird. But read a book that you think you will rate 5 stars. Okay. Okay. I'm going to read Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. I never remember the title, it's on the spine. So this is the beautiful edition I have. I have been meaning to read this series for so long now because I've read A Court of Thorns and Roses and Throne of Glass 2 times before reading this series, which is called Crescent City. This is a modern setting, I believe. I can't remember what they call it, something fantasy. Basically, it's a fantasy that is set in modern day and it is still having to do with the Fae, which I love. And you're supposed to read this series after you read A Court of Thorns and Roses and Throne of Glass. So obviously I've read both the series twice, so it's about time I read Crescent City. So our 8th book on the TBR is going to be Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. All right, 2 more books left on the TBR. Prompt number 9 is going to be read a book written by multiple authors. I don't think I have any books written by multiple authors, so we're just going to go ahead and skip over that one as well. Read a book with a beautiful cover. That should be very easy to find. The book with a beautiful cover that I chose is going to be Metallic Realms. It really does have a beautiful cover. It also has beautiful sprayed edges. It also has a really cool naked hardback cover. This is a sci-fi. Oh, also the back looks like that, so very stunning. This is a sci-fi. I'm subscribed to Owl Crate's, what is it called? Quarterly sci-fi subscription. This one, I honestly can't remember what it's about. It says fantastic universes and personal dramas collide as a group of friends blur the line between real life and fiction with delightfully disastrous results. I don't know, all I know is that guy looks like Tom Cruise. So my 9th book for this TBR is going to be Metallic Realms. I'm so excited to read this. Okay, our very last prompt, you better make this good, is going to be listen to an audiobook. Okay, well, I actually want to choose a physical book, so we're gonna just go ahead and, I don't know what happened there, but I couldn't speak, so I went ahead and pressed again, and we got read a book that you think suits the current season, which is great. Actually, underneath here, I have all of my fall TBR books, so I could have chosen this whole TBR from the books from my fall TBR, but I simply didn't, but let me look. The one I think we're gonna go with is The Consequences of Falling. This one has a very fall cover, so I assume it's a very fall book, and it's actually a romance, like a dramatic romance, not a rom-com, if I'm correct. The tagline is, will their love withstand the fall? So it sounds kind of dramatic to me. But yeah, I think that they're dealing with trauma. I don't know. But all I know is I really wanted to read this book in fall, and obviously November is the last fall month, so we have to read this book. So that is my entire November TBR, and I'm actually so pumped to read all of these books. And yes, I do think I can read all of them. So let's go through them one more time. First, we have Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood, Attack on Titan, volume 16, 17, and 18, A Series of Unfortunate Events, The Wide Window, The Return of the King, We Hunt the Flame, The Knife of Never Letting Go, Daughter of the Pirate King, Metallic Realms, Consequences of Falling, and right here would go Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. And there we have my November TBR. I'm so excited to read all of these books. They just look so wonderful. And I hope you guys are excited to see me read these books because there will definitely be some reading vlogs. All right, guys, I'll just see you in the next video. Goodbye.